Good evening, folks. Welcome in. Hope you're all having a good week. So tonight it's a non-paranormal show, as you can see. I don't know. I'm usually a big background up, but I don't know what the hell's happened to it. And I tried to fix it, but I can't fix it. But tonight we're joined again by this young man, Dave Sutton, or as he's known by his thousands of followers on TikTok, F1 Dave. So
Good
it's good to
evening.
have you
Good
back
evening,
in,
Scott.
buddy. How is
It's
you?
good to be back. It's good to be back on.
How are we doing?
Yeah, all good. First summer break I've actually enjoyed for a long while. With these new regulations, it's the first half of the season's dragged on a little bit. The stops, the starts, the cancellations, the bad decisions from the FIA. It's the first time that I've actually enjoyed the summer break, sat back and just thought, wow, it's been a chill one. And then we had to start the sprint. Wanted me to go back into the summer break because I was just like, I've come straight back into it and I've fallen asleep at the first race of the season, and it really, I thought it was going to set the tone for the weekend, but boy, did that prove us wrong.
Just before we get into the Grand Prix side, I just want to just learned about half an hour, 40 minutes ago about the passing of Dolly Parton.
Yeah, rest in peace, Dolly.
Yeah, it's another music icon, legend, going, going. You know, and as I said before, we came on, Dave, you grew up with these people, you know, like Dolly, Kenny Rogers, Don Williams, people like that. You know, you never imagine that they're going to leave you. So, you know, that's another major loss, not just for country music, but for the world itself. You know, she'll be always remembered, but sadly missed. You know,
Yeah.
so you know, thanks Dolly for the music and the memories. You know, another good one gone. But so to get back onto tonight's subject, I always feel the summer break's too long. You know, I'm always sad at the last race before the break up. You know, and say, well, that's us for the summer break. And bummer. You know,
I was.
Friday.
It's like I said, it's the first season where I've embraced the summer break. Like I said, so many stops and starts. It's felt exhausting this first half of the season. Whether it's just getting used to these new regulations, there's so many changes going on. Like I said, I welcomed it with open arms this summer round, and I'm just glad now that we've actually had the main race after the sprint. Things are starting to look a bit better. But we've got Max here for another 2 years on top of his two that he's contracted for. So he's here till 2030. Your favourite guy.
If we can keep it at the wall, but no, which will come to. But no, the season. There's my wife saying hello. She is a Max fan, so you know better choose her
Good
words
evening, Sarah.
carefully. No, it has been a bit of a mixed up season so far. You know, I mean, I was thinking about it yesterday or earlier on the day that it just seems to, as I think I said this in the last show, it seems to fall apart. The years of Ferrari dominance, and then you know it was Red Bull, you then Mercedes, and you'd a wee Braun one thrown in there. But this year, it just seems to be all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, we the first six races, it was looking like it's going to be easily. It's going to be another. We're going into another Mercedes domination. Then Ferrari have started to sort of find their feet a bit. Midway through this second half of the season, through this first half of the season, and then as we've entered this as just before we've come into the summer break and the first one back, it's now looking like McLaren are starting to find their feet. So it's going to, although we're quite far away on points and everything, he's only 83 points behind Kimi Antonelli, Lando is now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I mean, we saw Max come back from 105 deficit last year. So can we see? I mean, it's going to be a miracle for Lando to do that because Kimi seems so cool and collected in his head. George Russell's just doing George Russell things. Hamilton is getting absolutely annihilated by his teammate for some reason, which is not in the terms of points, but there's going to be one person stopping Hamilton from winning the season, and that is his own teammate, because he's just not playing ball. He should just sit back. Just if Hamilton wins it this year, Leclerc, let Hamilton win it, because you will be going back to the Golden Boy next year. All Ferrari are interested in is to get Hamilton that 8th world title. The merchandise sales they can make out of it, the history books, everything will go down. Whereas Charles gets a win for them, it's just going to be, it's a Ferrari win. There's going to be no massive statement in the history books about Charles Leclerc getting his first win with Ferrari. Whereas if Lewis Hamilton's first win with Ferrari will also be his 8th, which will he will be further on in the championships than Michael Schumacher ever was.
There's a way saying I'm a Max fan, but I also like Kimi Antonelli. She's got a wee soft spot for Kimi.
They're my 2 favourite drivers on the track. And I shouldn't say that as a McLaren fan.
That's our Laura. Hello, good evening. You're the wrong top on, Scott. Should be an Antonelli. Laura, we've actually converted. I said this in the chat the other day, on Sunday, that we've converted her to Formula One.
Mercedes fan.
She started watching it, and the race there, the race before the breakup. She comes in here to watch it, and she was sitting, and she's with that. She was doing the facial expressions, So I think she's been converted. Actually, Laura, this top I've got on, I don't think you can buy it anymore. I got this in Tenerife in 2007 or 8, something like that. And it's a Schumacher one. I don't think you can actually buy them anymore. But I thought I'd put this one on. But I like Antonelli. Don't get me wrong. He's a nice enough guy. But as you're saying about Hamilton, Ferrari do want Hamilton to win, because give him his 8th title. But I'll also have a big feather in Ferrari's cap, because he's been trying for that 8th title for a while now, and it's always just seemed to not happen for him. So yeah. I think Ferrari's way of thinking is, well, Mercedes tried to do it, they couldn't do it, so can we do it? Can we give him that 8th crown? And as you say, it's got to be amazing publicity for them, sales, etc. And you do kind of feel sorry for Charles, a wee bit. That he's been kind of. I'm just speaking as a Ferrari fan. To me, the Grand Prix of the weekend, they totally botched it up for the sprint race onwards.
Yeah.
One thing I was surprised, and I think you said it as well, because also I watch your live streams, was when they put Hamilton on the mediums for the sprint race. I thought that was a big mistake. The soft tyres, excuse me, the soft tyres, as usual, the soft tyre is the fastest tyre, and it's got an average life of maybe 22, 23 laps, depending on the track and conditions. To me, they should have put, this is what I would have done, I could be wrong, but I would have put them on the soft tyre and said, right, go run your race, but run about lap maybe 13, 14, try and manage the tyre a little bit to give that wee bit extra fight at the end. That's what I would have done. What would you think?
Like I said, I think it was the wrong decision. Yes, starting him on the medium as well. But it's Ferrari. They're not running both their drivers on the same strategy. They're always on a different strategy, which is why the call on the Sunday, I don't understand why Charles knew that they're running different strategies, and yet he refused to come in. And he definitely cost Lewis a P3. He definitely cost him a podium. It could have potentially cost him a P2 as well. I think he could have had that pace, that raw pace, to have gotten past Antonelli as well as Russell, if Charles would have pitted when he was supposed to and didn't hold up Lewis for another 2 laps or a lap and a half.
I'm converted. It's far more technical than I first realised. I'm still learning, but Scott is right. Keep me right. St. Church, because I no doubt you get this as well, Dave. People say, oh, it's just wee cars going round a track going, neum, neum, neum. You know, the amount of times I've heard that down the years must be in the thousands. And, you know, I've actually met a couple of people that I've sat down with and said, oh, come and watch a race with me. And at the end of it, they'll say, there's a lot more to it than I thought. But I mean, you know, so we've managed to convert our Laura, unfortunately, to the wrong team. But it's like the tunnel. You know what I mean? But getting back to this, I don't know, I've got mixed feelings about Sunday. Between Charles and Hamilton. Hamilton's pace was good. I think I even bought an Antonelli t-shirt that Scott has offered to use as a duster. I'm always willing to help out. I'm always willing to help out. Hamilton did have the pace, definitely. You know, because I mean, he was closing Russell down by, you know, leaps and bounds. Was it Russell? And I think if the virtual safety car hadn't come out, Hamilton would have had him.
Yeah, 100%. It always seems with Hamilton, whenever he's about to, when it's looking promising for him, safety car comes out or virtual safety car comes out, and it stops Lewis in his tracks. Now that safety car came out, and I believe 2 laps, or the virtual safety car came out 2 laps after the Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon incident. So it took them 2 laps to realise, oh, hang on a minute, we've got a bit of debris on the track that we need to get rid of.
That sometimes it doesn't make sense. I mean, you look at what happened in Monaco with that, you know, bit of loose track.
Yeah.
You know, the tarmac. Somebody, you know, they had said that people had noticed it and drivers had reported it.
I mean, it was Lance Stroll went off at that corner before Charles did, and it wasn't until the second driver crashed on that same bit of tarmac that they're like, hang on a minute, let's inspect it and have a look. It should have been the second that Lance Stroll went off there. You could see on the replays there, they said it was marbles that he slid on, but you could see the track was gone. I think Alonso reported it from like lap 16.
Mm-hmm.
And
nothing was done, and then, you know, as you say, after Charles crashed, I thought, oh, well, let's have a little look and see what they're talking about. You know, I mean, you know, in F1, it's one of, you know, safety's first. So as soon as, you know, Alonso reported at lap 16 this year, she's right, well, we're going to need to have a wee look and see what's happening. But
it should have been, yeah, safety reasons. Get it out there and checked.
I always remember the incident in Monaco. I think it was a Williams driver with the manhole cover came up. It was Barrichello.
Right.
It was Barrichello. I don't know if you remember it. But one of the manhole covers came loose during the Grand Prix.
I don't remember that one. The last manhole cover I remember, I think, was the first Vegas. Was it put one of the Ferraris out, didn't it? Carlos Sainz. And then it happened again. Not in 25. It happened again this year. I think they had issues with the manhole covers again.
It's not exactly safe.
No, not this year. Not here. No, said 2024, 23. It happened. Put Carlos Sainz out of one of the races. 24 it was all right, and 25 again it happened during one of the practice sessions. Or
I can't remember what year it was, but I always remember that it was Barrichello that hit it. And he went, luckily he was okay, you know, but I mean, it's things like that just shouldn't happen.
Great. The amount of money that they pull in, especially in today's day and age from it as well, we shouldn't be seeing Monaco breaking away.
No. Hey, that's Craig, that's Laura's other
evening, Craig.
One of your team as well. No, the amount of money that goes into to these Grand Prix, well, you know, you think the first thing that should be safe is the track.
Yeah.
You know that's kind of, actually that's an important part of the Grand Prix. That, you know, you kind of need a track, you know, and you need it to be in one piece basically. But jump back to, you know, the Hamilton thing. I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50. So we watched the race on Sunday. Charles was told to come in. He didn't come in. So which kind of messed up Hamilton. But then the way I was thinking, I was trying to put myself in the mindset of Charles as well. You know, he's because basically Ferrari were telling him Lewis is faster than you. You know, so I mean, if I was Charles sitting in that car, I'd be thinking, well, if he's faster than me, I mean, we've heard it countless times. You know, let him pass me on the track if he's faster.
That's the argument everybody uses. But then what you're doing is you're compromising. If you can see that your two drivers are faster, getting him to race for that position is compromising tires, keeping him in dirty air longer. Whereas you can just let him pass a little minute for slow down, let him pass, let him go and take the chase to the next driver. Because at the end of the day, your team is going to be getting those same points, if not more. If Leclerc wasn't looking like he was catching the driver in front, all right, you settle for the points that Lewis was going to bring the team. All right, you're not going to get as many in the drivers, but if Lewis has got a chance to then go on and bring some extra points to the team, then let him go for it. Don't jeopardize both by holding him up and saying to race for it. That's what I thought with Russell as well at the weekend. I didn't think he was going to let Antonelli pass.
I see that Hamilton said that in his interview afterwards. Creates a comment on it, not drilled, wrecked, LOL. I don't get what that word means. Sorry, Craig, I don't get what you mean. Not drilled, wrecked. I can see the interview Hamilton after, as you probably watched and heard, and he mentioned Mercedes with Kimi and Russell, and he says, you know, they made a decision, they executed it right away.
Yeah.
But with Ferrari, basically just didn't happen. So, but then Leclerc pitted a lap after it, and I don't know. I mean, I understand you know the whole team perspective and the mere points, but I think at the end of the day, after this for a while, the, you know with Ferraris, you know, they're very team. The team come first above everything else. You know, they've been like that for years and years. But then I think Ferrari need to turn and maybe have a look at their drivers and think, well, these guys, we pay them X amount every year, but these guys, Hamilton, he nailed in the head when he says, I'm out there to win. I want to win. So does every other driver. They want, so, you know, with Charles sitting there thinking, you know, I've done all this work, I'm in, you know, what, P4, why should I give this up? Because I want as many points as I can get as well. Because he's, you know, all right, his hopes are quite dim by the way he's looking now, but he's maybe trying to win a world championship as well. You know, it's a bit of a mixed bag, I think.
I think so. You got to look at it. Hamilton's won 7 championships. Ferrari are taking on board what he said as well. So he came in, he said, I don't like these brakes this year. He goes, I didn't use these brakes with Mercedes. I used this other brake. They started using these other brakes. That's when Hamilton started improving. Charles was like, no, I'm going to stick with Brembo. And then Monaco, where it was clearly the track, the broken track that caused the accident. He pinned all that blame on Brembo. Brembo had to come out and defend himself, and he's since switched to the same types of brakes as Lewis is using, the ceramic. I think it's ceramic something or other. So Ferrari aren't being silly by taking on what Lewis has said. I think Charles has always been just a driver. He's not really given them feedback which they've acted on in the past, whereas Lewis has all last season where things were going wrong for him, he was noting down, right, well, this needs changing, that needs changing. He had a terrible engineer which wasn't working for him. They got rid of him. They've got that Santi in now that they seem to be getting on a lot better. The communication is just so much better than it was last year. They've, as Lewis said as well, this car now has his DNA in it. So they've listened to it. They've taken it on board. And he's there. He doesn't want to just win his 8th championship. He wants to win his 8th championship, but also win a constructors for Ferrari as well.
Oh yes, you know, I was never a Lewis fan. You know, I used to dislike the guy. I don't want to say hate. That's maybe a bit kind of strong word, but I very much dislike the guy. But I'm starting to warm to him, and I I agree with what you said, and I've said this to Sarah in my life as well, that, Lewis has come in, and this year, last year was just a shambles basically for him, but this time Ferrari have listened to him and says, right, well, we'll try A, B, and C, and it is working for him. I think he
Yeah.
just needs to find that wee bit extra speed, something. I think there's just something just missing
Well,
for
you've got
him
some
to.
upgrades coming from Monza. You've got a bigger turbochargers coming from Monza. I think there's the ADUO engine upgrade number 2's coming. It's going to get another 10 horsepower out of it. So hopefully, and obviously there's a special livery coming for Monza as well for the home race.
It's well, hopefully because I mean the turnout for the home race is always massive. Ferrari fans are out in
But what's it going to be?
Venice.
What are the Italians going to want to win this? This is what I've asked myself as well. Who are the Italians backing this year? Are they backing Team Ferrari, which haven't won it in, say, 10 years or so? Or are they backing Team Antonelli, who, when's the last time? 20 odd years since an Italian's last won it? Or is it Fangio that last won it?
I think
I think.
it was been about 20 years. But I think they'll be backing Ferrari. I think that's just my thoughts. I'm probably wrong. They'll probably go for Antonelli, but other
It's one of those. It's
choices.
the Italian fan at the moment stuck between a rock and a hard place because they're like, do we want the team to win or do we want to end this
I would
Italian
go,
driver?
and they're really really passionate.
Yeah,
Very. I'd say they're the most passionate fans in the world. The Italian fans. But I think they'll be backing Ferrari. Ferrari have to. They need to pull it out the bag this time. Because every home race in recent history they've been slaughtered basically, and they really need to. And so I think I think Ferrari are going to throw everything they can at Hamilton.
they need to.
With
They
him.
need to because he's whilst Charles is there. I mean, once Hamilton's gone, Charles might have a shot at a driver's title. But I think at the moment, the one thing that they've got for a driver's title and the chance of a constructors as well is Lewis. He's got the experience. He's done it before. As long as they can deliver it with a good car, and he needs a teammate that's going to play ball as well. He needs to realise that sit back. You're not going to get it this year. Whilst you wait until say Behrman comes up, because then you'll be number one again, and it'll be Behrman being your wingman. And the last thing you want to do is give anybody else an idea of how it is to not be a team player. So he doesn't want the next guy coming in, but well, I'm not gonna pick because I saw Charles doing that when he was fighting Lewis. Why should I repay the favour to Charles if he never
You
played ball
don't.
that way?
You don't want any hand me downs basically.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, do you really see Hamilton retiring? Look at Alonso. He's
20,
40 or 42.
2029 is the year I predict Hamilton. That will be his last season, and that is because that's the year he turns 44 years old. So to retire at age 44, car number 44, I think it will tie all his legacy into one. Retires car number 44 at age 44. I think that's his plus 44 being his whole brand as well. I think it'll all be a great big retirement in 2029 for Lewis.
So you think we'll be seeing the rear wing of Hamilton in 40 when he turns 44?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, look at Alonso. All right, team wise, not great. A bit of an improvement at the weekend there. But he's either 40, because they said on Sunday he's either 40 or 42.
It's 45, Alonso is.
Is it 45?
45, Alonso.
I'm doing well tonight, I thought it was 40 or 42. 45, and he's still going strong. So I possibly 44. We'll see what happens. But no, Ferrari need to. I mean, their strategy as well. Sometimes you wonder. No doubt you do as well. But the guys behind the computers, what they're thinking. When sometimes you think, what the hell are you doing? You know, obviously these guys are the experts, you know, the qualifications and that. But here's a question for you. I actually thought about this when I was out walking the dog this morning. Just totally random thought came into my head, right? So, you know, Grand Prix weekend, it's all about the team, people behind the computers, the drivers and everything. Can you imagine a Grand Prix where the team just says to the drivers, right, we're not going to use any data. You tell us what tyres you want to use on this track. You know the track, you've done it loads of times. You just go out there and race and radio us when you want to come in and change your tyres. How do you think that something like that would work?
Only a couple of drivers would pass that. Lewis being one of them. I think Max would have the ability to do that. Maybe Alonso as well. Maybe Hulkenberg because he's a bit more experienced, but he's a bit more. He's been around a bit longer. But any of these new kids coming in, I don't think Lando would. We've seen him. I think it was last year in some of the races he was really struggling. He was having back and forth with his engineer, and he was like, "I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. You tell me. You're my engineer." And it's things like that that shows you those that have got the experience and the wheel knowledge. I mean, Lewis isn't a tyre whisperer for nothing.
The men for the boys kind of thing.
Yeah. The video game drivers versus the real life sort of drivers. That the younger generation, they've been brought up on Xboxes, PlayStations. They played computer games. They've a lot of sim hours. Max is always sim racing, but he seems to have. I mean, he's been brought up from racing at a young age, isn't he? Having a dad as a former F1 driver has definitely helped him in the right direction to where he is. But he is just on the drivers on the grid. There's not another one. I don't think another one like Max. The fact that he jumps in other different leagues, he's just got racing in his blood.
Yeah, as much as I'm not. No, see that question. It was just one of these random thoughts that pop into your head. You know,
yeah.
I wonder how that would go for you. It's never going to happen, you know. But it's just one of these. I wonder how that would go if you just took all the technical stuff out and just stuck them in the car and says, right, go for it, and we'll see what happens.
Well, it's like when you get the quick. I get asked the question sometimes, like who would win in a race between Senna and Max, and they're two completely different generations of driving. I mean, the last season that Senna that unfortunately passed away, 94, that was the first season that power steering came into it. So put any of the drivers now back into the days when Senna had a full season without power steering. Could they handle this amount of laps without the power steering on those cars?
No.
No.
I mean, I remember cars without power steering. I remember I used to drive trucks without power steering. I'm giving away my age. I'm giving away my age here, but I used to work for a company and two or three of the trucks with power steering, and one of them, that was an old banger basically, and I used to hate going out in it because you try to turn in corners and that, and you're that way. So, F1 cars, no, I don't think they would be able to go to this.
And they weren't just battling. They weren't just battling other drivers on the track. They were battling their own cars to keep them on the track as well. It was a lot more demanding. There wasn't the we'll just flick this button and try that mode and try it now sort of thing. It was a lot more like once you're in that car, you've got to deal with it and bring it home basically.
I deal with it yourself. But I was going to say, as much as I'm not a Max Verstappen fan, I think he throws the dummy at the pram too much. But, he is a very talented driver and he is aggressive and he does go for it when other folk just wouldn't think about going for it.
Yeah.
Whether he's throwing it down the inside or taking it down the outside, whatever. I've seen it so many times when the people says, that move with Verstappen. We didn't think it was possible, but Max pulled that. So give the guys due,
Was it last year at Imola? Last year at Imola, I think turn 1 or turn 2, everyone was like, we're going to have no overtakes in Imola. And Max went straight past Oscar on lap 1 around turn 1 or turn 2, pulling off a great overtake.
one of the greatest overtakes I've ever seen was when it was Alonso when he was at Ferrari and it was the Spanish Grand Prix, and it was 2000. I like to say 2007, 2008 maybe. Um, I might not be that far back, but he took about four cars. He was on the outside. He just flew around them, and
Yeah.
the commentary was doing. I think that was, how did they manage it? How did they pull that off? That was like four cars and one corner. The guy just passed. That was one of the best overtakes I've seen. But no, Maxi pulled off some really good overtakes and what have you in his time. And, four times world champion. He's obviously got there's something there, you know. And but let's talk about Max on Sunday because I know the
Yeah.
wife will want me to talk about that. We were talking last week, and you did say in the mail that you think Max will be a DNF, which I thought was quite spooky on Sunday when it happened. You know,
I've got to stop predicting these DNFs.
I would write them down a bit of paper and just keep them to yourself. Then at the end of the season, say right, well, this is what I wrote then. You know,
Well, I said the
take
same at
that with
Spa. The week before Spa, I said, I've got a feeling George Russell's going to DNF this weekend. Lap one, George Russell DNFs from the race.
I still say he's just a jinx. That's what
I
he's just
know, I know.
a blooming jinx. But so we think Max was too aggressive.
Yeah, I think he's overcooked it. No other driver was going on that same line. He said he just thought he saw a dry line. It turned out it was a bit wet. He accelerated and realized it was too wet and he spun out. It's the first time that he's had a crash and he's not straight on the radio blaming the car. So he's took it on the chin. He's admitted it was a driver error this time, which is unfortunate for his home race, being the last one as well. I'm sure he wouldn't have. He didn't want to go out in that style.
No, I would want to. It was a bit of a tricky one, but I mean, obviously we were watching it Sunday, as I said, and like 5-10 minutes before they needed a clue what what tyres to put on, and they did try and interview Norris when he was making his way to the grid, and he looked nervous as hell.
Yeah.
I don't know if you spotted.
I saw that when he, because he sort of like just darted through the hole in the fence to get to the grid. But yeah, they did on the commentators as well, were saying, yeah, Norris looks really nervous here, because it was raining up until about 10 minutes before, wasn't it? About 10 minutes before the formation lap, and then there were parts of the track were looking dry. That they said it's all about what part of the track. Where it's dried out the most, because they were coming round before they lined up on the grid as well. They were going round, but then they came back in to the pits, back round again. So they never got to experience turn one. They all got through that one fine. It was just that turn 14, that last one coming before the start finish line, because it's a banked turn as well. If it's been raining, you don't want to take the lowest part on a banked corner.
Because you're going to meet a puddle or two on the way around.
Yeah.
But I mean, it must be hard. I was sitting there, and you're looking at the weather. You're looking at the weather map. All the engineers and everybody's all looking at the individual maps, and you're thinking, the clock's ticking. What do we do here? What tyres do we put on? Do we take a chance and put on slicks so that there's a car going to end up in the wall, or and it must be kind of nerve-wracking. And you can understand Norris being nervous because no doubt he's got all this information in his head, and it's the first race back after a 4-week break, and he's thinking, right, what's this track going to be like? What tyres are they going to give me? Do I need to make a decision about the tyres? Are they going to make a decision about... There's 101 thing, and then on top of that, he's got a race to run.
Yeah. And this is, and last year as well in Zandvoort, Lando getting all the way to, I think, about 4 laps from the end, and his car just failing on him. So he's also got that player. I need to redeem myself from last year. My car's not been that reliable this year. Am I going to get through to the end? Am I going to have another issue with the power unit, or going to get a breakdown?
So, and then you get some guy wanting to interview him. That wouldn't help. you know, take 5-7 minutes before your duty lights out. Some guy,
That's it.
how we feeling, land?
Get out of here.
Aye, if, so now you're a wee bit more polite with that. I'm a wee bit busy the new, talk to me after the race can hang. But I mean, McLaren, what's going on at McLaren? Come on. I mean, last year they dominated. This year, the first part of the season, they were there, but just not there. But then the
We've had
weekend,
so many. I mean, we had first race of the season. Norris spins out on the. Was it not even the formation lap? It was the reconnaissance lap, wasn't it? Driving around to line up for the formation lap, he span out, and then we had China. We had a double DNS. It's just been a horrible start to the season. We've sort of brought some upgrades, which looked like they were working for Hungary, but then we saw, I think, didn't Piastri DNF a few laps from the end in Hungary with, I think he'd done something. He hit a curb and he had done something to his car by taking the curb too aggressively. And then obviously coming into this one, it was like, but then Oscar looked a bit off the pace, but he had a 5.4 second pit stop this weekend as well.
I was going to come with the pit stops as well.
It seems to be if we get one thing right, we don't get the next thing right. We can't have a perfectly good flowing weekend of having a quick drive, a quick pit stop. It's always one or the other. But then a lot of people had slow pit stops this weekend. It wasn't just McLaren.
I noticed that as well. There was 3 or 4 different teams on a row basically that had, and I'm watching, I'm thinking, what's going on with the pit stops? Because, the average is maybe 2.5, 2.6 seconds, that kind of time. And some of them are like 3.3, 4.2, And if it's just one team, you say, all right, they've messed it up, whatever it is. But there was like 3 or 4 different teams all had the same kind of, lengthy pit stops. And to some people, they might say, 4 seconds, that's nothing. But if you're sitting, in Formula One, that's yourself, that's an eternity.
When the quickest pit stop so far this season has been by Racing Bulls with Lindblad, 1.99 seconds. It's like 4 seconds. It's like that's over double what the fastest has been this year, and that can cost you the difference between P1 or P2.
A slope, because a lot of people think the race can only be won on track, but or lost on track. But that's not that. It can be lost in a pit stop.
Yeah, it can be. It's all about position coming back out of that pit lane. That 2 seconds could put you back into traffic where you don't get the right speed, the right drive coming back out onto the track. And ultimately that can then have a knock-on effect, whereas if you'd have got ahead of that car, you might have only be a second ahead of that car, but being a second ahead of that car giving you clean air rather than being a second behind that car in that car's dirty air, chewing through your tyres, trying to chase it, just can ruin your race.
And we've seen it happened with Hamilton. I know at least once this year, and they pitted him, they put him back out in a bunch of traffic, and he's on the radio saying, "Why do you put me back out into all this?"
Yeah.
Whose idea was this? Basically, look, I'm stuck behind X amount of cars now, and I know they a lot of the time they can't get the pit stop timing spot on. Like, right, we bring them in now because as Dave, 101 things can go wrong in a pit stop. So you can sit and do all the mathematics and stuff and say, right, bring them in now. That'll put them back out in 5th or 6th. But as you say about McLaren, you could be running a good race and then a wheel doesn't go on.
Yeah.
It costs another 2 seconds, and that's all the calculations in the bucket. And you think, well, there's nothing. You just need to go out and do what you can. But I always remember Hamilton saying, well, why did you pick the new? Whose idea was this? But it wasn't a happy man. But no, this weekend I was quite impressed with McLaren this weekend. As much as I hate to say it. Yeah, that's a highlight about Formula One. I mean, I'm not a football man. I don't know if you are actually, but there's a lot of hatred in football. I've witnessed it in Glasgow, with Rangers and Celtic and stuff, and You know, you can't have a bit of banter. But Formula One, you can have, you know, your team's crap and all the rest of it. You know, Hamilton's a balloon, whatever it might be. But it's just all banter. You
Yeah.
know. Um, so that's the other thing I like about Formula One. But no, I was impressed with McLaren. I think is it still possible that they can win the title? I would say no.
Um, I think we've got more of a chance of the drivers than the constructors because I
Right.
can't see. I don't think Piastri's being consistent enough. If Lando can carry on like this and they bring more upgrades, I think our next big upgrade package is going to be Baku. Um, but like I say, it all depends on how or what. I mean, Toto Wolff's now saying that they've run out of money for upgrades. I think that's a complete bluff. I think they've run out of money for upgrades because they've already got a huge upgrade planned, and they've invested all of that into this upgrade that's going to come. They're not telling us what it is. He's just saying he's got no money. I don't believe one of the richest F1 teams out there has got no money for upgrades.
I don't believe they're running out of money.
No.
You know, I mean, they've got money by the bag. You know, and I really don't see, oh, we're skint. We can't afford another upgrade. You know, so no, I think he's just stonewalling people, just telling we poor kid
Yeah, I think
man.
he's then thinking that other people are going to go, all right, well, we seem to be on par with Mercedes now. Let's lay off of our upgrade plans, not bring any more upgrades, waste any more money if we don't have to. And then he's just going to go bang, and he's because they're entitled to this
I
ADUO upgrade as well. I think he's cooking something in the background, and he's just being
possibly,
shady.
you know, there's a lot of mind games goes on in Formula Ones. And especially during testing, I think a lot of teams tend to sandbag you, the fault, the wrong impression. Then come Australia, they're offski, into the distance where they were maybe running fifth or sixth in testing and stuff. So I think there's a lot, but no, I don't think Mercedes are short a few euros. I could say there a few
Yeah,
euros.
yeah,
Um, but I mean, McLaren last year romped it. You know, they were more or less untouchable last year. You know, they had their hiccups like everybody else, but this year they just, I don't know, they just don't seem to be able to get it together. Hopefully, these upgrades are going to come because I'm quite enjoying it this year because it's predictable this year.
yeah. I mean,
You know,
it's like I say, the first 6 races, it was just looking like it was going to be a complete and utter Mercedes dominance, and then we've had Hamilton taking a win at Barcelona, and we've now had we had Charles in Silverstone, and then we've
mm-hmm.
got Lando for the last 2. So it's not been a complete Mercedes dominance from about 6 races in. But the first 6 races, it was just looking like this is going to be 2023, but for Mercedes. We're going to have
So
maybe
going to be
one other driver might win something, but it's going to be between Kimi and George.
you know, it's sorry, I was on phone. Laura's mummy, Maureen. She's a lovely lady. She's nuts in a good way, but she's one of these ladies you meet in life and you just don't forget her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But she is really, really nice. But no, I do say it was Mercedes dominance and then bang, Hamilton sticks a win in there. So you think, well, maybe it's not going to be Mercedes. And then obviously Charles, and Norris as well. Kimi, here we go. Kimi's got this. Not really, not really. Laura, that's the one thing you still to be educated in
I
Formula One.
I won't make any predictions about the home race curse.
You need to say that I tell you. I what? You need to say that I tell you. I don't know what that means. It's not over yet, Laura. It's still. I say before, it's still mathematically possible for quite a few drivers to win. And I think Hamilton's definitely in the hunt.
Well, we've got Antonelli is starting from the back of the grid in Monza.
That's what I was going to come to because I've been winding Laura up about this, and for what I've been reading, I might have got it wrong. That's you need to say that, otherwise I tell my mum. Yeah, your mum's a lot. I've always said your mum's a lovely woman, Laura. Always, you know. The engine situation with Antonelli, etc. So he's starting for the back of the grid. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I think they're replacing everything. He's going to have a brand new car for everything. So new ice, new exhaust, new turbo, new battery, new controls, new everything. To give him a fresh thing, so he's got everything fresh to go from Monza, and it's an easier track to overtake at. So Toto thinks it's going to take less pressure or take pressure off of him doing it at this track. But Kimi's going to go into this knowing that Piastri suffered the home race curse this year, crashed out. We've had Charles has suffered the home race curse this year and crashed out at Monaco. And Zandvoort, we've just had Max crash out at his home race. So Kimi's going to have that niggling away in the back of his head. I can't crash out and prove this curse is real.
It is a weird one, but isn't it? You know, you see Oscar's Australia, Charles Monza, Max, you know, and they've all crashed out in their home races. So is this one going to be for him? You know, I get it. Anything can happen with positivity. I always going to be positive, Laura. Definitely when it comes to F1. But you know, if you look over my right shoulder, you'll see the team that's going to win it this year. I think it's my right shoulder. Aye, my right shoulder. That shoulder there. So I mean, the engine situation at Mercedes, he's ran out the engines. Is that right? Basically, they've used up their allocation.
Yeah, Kimi has. Yeah,
I read that right. So, what's the plan for the rest of the season? That's the other thing I was going to. They're not sure when the season's going to end now as well. It might end in Europe.
Yeah, it's looking more and more likely that it will be Imola. It will end at. The Vegas double header, I think, is off. And I'm not sure whether they're going to do Imola at the dates for Abu Dhabi or whether they do them on the dates for Qatar, because it's Vegas, Qatar. Is it Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi? Are they the last three?
They were going to. Oh, let me think. Because I remember reading it. They're going to have the guitar race somewhere else. I remember reading about it.
But we've got Bahrain is now being held in Malaysia, isn't it? So we've got Sepang coming back on the 4th of October.
The Bahrain one is shifted. So we don't know. We don't actually know when the season will end then.
No, it could be from some of the plans that I've read is good that if it ends in Europe, they've said the dates would have been the end of November, which is Qatar's dates. So we wouldn't have a race in December. So we'd have all of December off, all of January, back to testing in February. Which for the drivers, I'm sure they're not going to moan too much about that. But if we're going to lose a race and only get replaced one of those, it's then going to make the title fight that little bit more interesting.
It's good because obviously, well, I'll read this comment first. So Jenny can't believe I'm having a conversation about F1, something I never in my life thought would occur. Shoot me now, I need friends. I always told you, Laura, we would convert you at one point. It's going to make the title fight more interesting, but you know, whoever's leading the table is going to be hoping probably that the season ends as soon as possible. So, but then whoever's behind them is going to be hoping that it doesn't end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and if somebody only wins it by say 2 or 3 points, it's going to be so gutting for those chasing them. And then you've always got to say to yourself, well, Would you actually have been a world champion if we didn't have 2 cancelled races earlier on in the year and we had a full 24 race season? Would you have actually taken that championship?
I mean, that's what you know. As we say, in Formula One, every point is important. You know, I've seen championships won by 1 point.
There's been half a point. I think Prost and I can't remember who, but I think Prost won a season by half a point back in the 80s.
Before my time. Well, I was kicking before I got into Formula One. Then, wasn't it before my time? You know what I mean? But I mean, it must have gotten. You know, if you come second by 1 point, you know, you're sitting there thinking, if only this, if only that, you know. But to get back to the Mercedes engine thing, so they've used up their allocation this season of their engines. So how's that going to work for the rest of the season?
So they swapped this engine out. That's a 10-place grid penalty because it's the first engine used above their allocation. Then any after that, it will be a 5-place grid penalty, won't it? So I can't see them using too many more. Hopefully that they're going to go through this. The first ones were more to do with getting. I think more that were more to do with how the setup was running. But like I say, I can imagine seeing Kimi going through another one at least after this one, because if we've halfway through and he's about to swap out his first above his limit, I can see him going through at least one more.
It must be frustrating for the driver because it's not their fault. Do you know what I mean? This is a question I was going to ask. Again, I was thinking about this morning, and it's happened. I think this has been asked so many times in Formula One, and everybody's got different views on it. You know, when you get something like that, you know, it's not the driver's fault. I don't think it's fair that the driver should be penalised for it.
Yeah.
You know, I say he's got a 10 place grid penalty. To me, what should happen is the team should lose maybe a couple of points, no the driver. You know, maybe take 5 points off of Mercedes for every new engine or whatever it is whatever it is they change. Say, well, that's going to cost the team X amount of points. It's not going to cost the driver because it's not their fault.
But it's what they can do with that new engine. I get what you're saying, but what they can do with that new engine. I mean, just look at Max in was it Brazil last year? Was it Brazil? Where he had an engine change there and he went from a pit lane start to nearly putting it in P1. Because he changed it to an all new engine and everything. And then there's the big argument there is, did he actually need to change the engine for that? Or was it just a case of, we're going to put a brand new engine in and we're just going to storm to the front? Because there's no actual test there saying that the FIA can do to differentiate between whether the engine was knackered and they need a new one, or whether they just changed it because they wanted a new one. They haven't got the ability to test.
The FIA as well, the past few races have been questionable, and some of the punishments that they've handed out there. 5 seconds here, stop and go, drive-through penalties. And I don't know, it's a kind of mixed bag to me because, you might get Russell and whoever, Hulkenberg doing and Hulkenberg gets punished and Russell doesn't he? I can't remember the names, but it's been yourself, there's been a few instances this season where you can question the FIA's decision on why one person gets a kick in the butt and another one doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, today, the FIA are back in court today with McLaren and Red Bull because they've taken it back to the international courts, appealing the overturn of Gasly's from Monaco. And that's only just landed back in court today, where Gasly was the only one that never served his penalties in Monaco. They overturned his decision and he ended up getting a P3 in the end, and Hadjar lost his podium. But that's back in court again today.
It makes you wonder, but this is what a lot of people don't realise, that Formula One's not just X amount of guys going on 20 guys going on a track and racing around for 50, 60, whatever laps, and then you know, they pack up and go home and come back 2 weeks later somewhere else, you know, and do it all again. There's a lot more to it than actually, as Laura said, meets a lot more to it than meets the eye. But I just think the FIA sometimes, even the stewards, you know, I don't have a very high opinion of some of the stewards.
They need to
Whether
get full-time stewards. They've got the
I
budget. Employ people that come around with you race to race to race, so you've got consistency with the decisions that are being made. It's supposed to be the pinnacle of motorsports. Don't have random people at every single race making these decisions. It needs to be the same 5 people.
it's, it's more or less a case now, right? Who we got this week?
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, half the
who's on
time
the
I
scores
think
this
it's
weekend?
we've got half the time I think they've got Drive to Survive producers or something making some of these decisions. Oh, we can just we'll make an interesting series next year on Netflix about this. Let's measure let's measure the Monaco pit lane wrong and see how many penalties we can create.
Aye, that was absurd, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I know we spoke about it in the last show, but I mean that the farce with Monaco, that I lost count how many drivers were getting penalties. You know,
What we
everybody
haven't
seemed to get one.
That was crazy. What we haven't spoken about from Sunday is Nico Hulkenberg's reactions on lap
that.
1. That the
It's really not. There's a lot. It's really not. There's a lot more to it. Tires, conditions, decisions that are made beforehand. A game plan. See, let's get right into it now. You know. Aye, that. I mean, I was watching it, you know, and I also watched it time and time again since then. And it did basically just drive in a cloud of smoke, as you
Yeah.
know, Anthony Davidson said on the live. And when I was watching it, you know, you couldn't see sod all, but then the first thing I saw was the red
just appear.
on the car. I just seen the red coming, and I mean, you're talking about a millisecond, you know.
It was a cat's whisker. It was a cat's whisker. You could have measured that between Hulkenberg's front tire and the front of Bortoletto's car as he was spinning back round. It was almost it was executed to perfection. The timing of how he went through there. At first, when it all happened, when Max was into the barrier and coming across, then Bortoletto's smoke was going up. I thought it was a multi-car pileup. I was like, wow, this is a big crash here.
I thought Max had actually hit him.
Yeah.
At first, because it just seemed to happen bang bang, you know, one straight, and I thought, you know, he's scalped him and sent him spinning. Then Max has been carried on his wee journey into the wall, but he, you know, it was two totally different incidents.
I think Bortoletto had tried to take the same line as Max, so he got caught out on that same bit of damp track. Luckily, he only done a 360, but it could have been. I mean, there was another clip of Gasly where I think he had a little bit of a snap of oversteer before he was coming into out of turn 13 into turn 14. He'd have come through there at full pace. He would have actually made contact with Max as Max was coming back across the track. So there was a lot of things that sort of a lot of driver errors and skill set that worked in there that prevented a lot more from happening.
I mean, they've seen it before. I remember one memorable time in Indianapolis. We used to have the Grand Prix, and it was oh Christ, what's his name? Schumacher's brother.
Oh, Ralph.
Ralph. I forgot that's how important he is. I forgot his name. But he had a bad smash on the pitch straight, and there was just bits everywhere, flying everywhere, and I think it was Alonso. They just missed it. Alonso managed to weave through them, and the speed he was going at, he was belting it down the pit lane, and you saw him. I think the reaction time of these guys, but Sunday with Hulkenberg was just, I've actually got the wee car there.
Yeah.
One of my wee. I don't like
Legos.
that one actually.
It's the
I don't
it's
like.
the where the halo comes down to the front. It's the only one that hasn't got the little circular disc. All of the others have got a little circular disc sitting there to hold the
I've got
halo
the
into
wall.
place.
I've got the other 10 up on the wall. But I don't know about that. I don't know. You know, obviously I got it because it's Formula One. But I don't like the wheels at the front there.
But that's the same. They're all coming out like that next year in February or March next year. They're releasing them all like that. There's another 10 coming out, so it'll be the other teams to match the Audi.
I have no, I don't like that. But you know, I still bought it. By the way, you know, I should say the wife bought me it. But I didn't like it. But no, see Hulkenberg and Sunday, I don't know, just
It reminded
super
me of
human.
the reactions. There was, I think, I can't remember what race it was. The beginning of the season, I think Lawson had a really slow start, and Colapinto was coming up, and then you saw Colapinto just swerve right at the last minute past him,
Aye,
nearly into the
big time.
barriers. That's the two hairiest moments I think we've had this season in terms of um, getting out the way with really quick instincts, sort of things. But
And that's the other thing with it. It's so unpredictable because you just don't know what's going to happen during the race.
yeah,
You know, I mean, I don't know if you remember Vettel. Was it Japan? Oh, years ago, and it was the last lap. He was up for the win, and it was the last lap. He spun out on. I think it was the last corner. Was it Japan?
yeah. But was it Hockenheim? His last home race
So,
was it a home race, and he ended up he was going to win it. Was he in for P1?
I was up for P1,
I think it
and
might have been Hockenheim.
why did I get Japan in my head? But he came off, and he'd led for quite a bit, you know, and he was up for P1, and the finishing line was in sight, and bang, and he went. Because I was like that. Ferrari. What the? Why'd you do that? Because you're playing. I don't know if you do, but you shout at the telly if I can hear you. You
Well,
know.
I've got to be very, very careful what I say when I'm watching the racing, because obviously I'm live streaming to TikTok as well.
Aye, so you've got to keep it in check in case you get a strike or whatever the hell it is.
I'd try not to be too smug to alienate all the Max fans and the that follow.
But see, if anybody doesn't follow this guy, go on TikTok and give him a follow. I mean, there's a few people on there that do Formula One, as you know, but it's and you know I'm not buttering you up or nothing like that, but you know credit where credit's due. Basically, I mean you cover all the you don't show because there was a guy on Sunday who kept pestering you about showing it on TV. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm watching you and I'm reading it. Take the hint, my man. You don't see it on TV. So I know some of them show it, you know, but I don't know how many times you told them, I don't do it on TV.
It's not worth. I mean, you'll get an account that's got 500 followers that will share the whole race. They've not got a big following, so TikTok might not pick up on their account. But I've got nearly 25,000 followers now. I'm not going to risk getting a copyright ban from TikTok for something which I don't do the live streams to generate any sort of funds for myself. The live streams are just purely for the community, to give back to the community that can't watch the F1. So they've got at least something on there. My funds are made through the video side of it because I'm on the rewards program. So I make my videos that way. Anything that I make on gift wise goes into stuff that I give back in the giveaways or stuff I buy to make content with for on live streams. So we've managed to buy a few of the cars over here, which were all built during the summer break on live stream to keep people entertained, to keep people interested in the channel still. So I don't just go dead through the off months.
You don't disappear. But no, I mean, that's how I found you because, to be honest, we used the Fire Stick. You know, before we got the Fire Stick, I couldn't watch any of the races. And I did flick through TikTok because, as I said, there's quite a few folk on there that do Formula One. But then I happened upon your good self, and you couldn't, you can't watch the race, but it's live timing. You've got the graphs up. You can see where everybody is on track, etc. Um, and that's how I found you basically.
We've even
So
got
it's very.
people that have even got they've got Sky Sports at home and they still tune into the channel for the some people have said, oh, the commentary, the reactions and everything, it's more real than the people on TV are. You've also got the community that we built together there. There's always the same regulars in there. There's banter between the communities. You've got the Max fans bouncing off the Lando fans. You've got the Hamilton fans bouncing off the Max fans. The Max fans bouncing off the Ham. It's just a community that's all there. You've got the occasional George Russell fan that pops in. There's not many of them,
Mm.
but
I doesn't seem. What's the problem with Russell? He doesn't seem to be very popular at all. Do you know what I mean?
I said at the weekend, somebody was like, they said, you don't really like Russell, do you? And I said, look, put it this way. If he got his own grandstand, I think you'd need a couple of park benches.
Uh, you know, that's where
But
you put the burger van. He's
I think it's just, I mean, towards the end of last year, he was starting to grow on me again. He did before that come across as very arrogant, but towards the end of last year, he'd give me his due. He'd done some really good races. He'd sort of, I thought he'd toned himself down again. Then Australia, he won the first race, and he was pretty much like, yeah, I'm going to win this year. And it was just the arrogance just came back out with a vengeance, and I was just like, oh god, he's back. It didn't last long. Give him a
I
car that
know.
he could potentially win in, and it's just his ego's just gone boop through the roof.
See, a lot that Russell is with it. I'm not a big Russell fan. I don't know very much about the guy. I'm not a fan. I mean, I do like Hamlin, Leclerc, obviously Norris, Gasly, people like that. Loads of they take time to talk to people. They take time to talk to the press. I know it's part of their job. To talk to the press, but you can tell. I think you can tell when a driver is just doing it because he has to do it. Because it's in his contract. But
Yeah,
then you've got the other driver who wants to talk to the press. Like Hamilton. You know, we used to have him as an example. He might get asked one question and he could give a short answer. You know, but he doesn't. He goes into kind of depth and detail, and he's no shy of coming forward. I mean, look at Sunday. A message I didn't understand. This is I really forgot to ask you, but Sunday was when Hamilton says over the radio, "It was a good way to waste time, guys." I didn't get that. Any idea what he was talking about? Because
by
I
by
didn't get the message to Leclerc either.
it was about Leclerc not coming in, the decisions they were making. They didn't bring Hamilton in to change his tires earlier because he said, "You're still leaving me out here to dry. Am I a guinea pig or something?" It was all about. I think the strategy sort of fell apart on Sunday. It could have been better. Lewis, I think, went into it with one plan, and I don't think they. I think they didn't say Lewis had it in his head that we were all going with Plan A. I think they might have changed it to Plan B. Essentially, it was Leclerc keeping him back, which is where they've lost time. I think he thinks they should have been on the radio. No, skipping the pitch. You need to get back in here. At the end of the day, they're paid. You are a driver paid for by that team, so you should ultimately respect if they've got a plan of action. You've got, like you said, you've got a whole team of people behind computers there. You've got strategists, you've got engineers, you've got everybody that are planning out this race. If they've told you to come in and pit because the other driver is quicker than you and you're not going to be projected to get up any further and catch any more points, let the other driver pass, let him go up there. Because if he can get past two more drivers and you're still going to be in the same position, the amount of points extra that he's going to bring to the team, we can afford for you to drop back behind him because he's going to go forward and gain two more places. And your trajectory at the moment isn't going to be there. So I think it was a case of, and it's not the first time Charles has done it to him.
I was surprised with Charles when he didn't come in.
He was getting quite. I mean, it's the first time we've heard Lewis get quite. I wouldn't say angry, but he definitely let them know that he wasn't happy.
Mhm. Do you think that'll cause a rift between Charles and Lewis? I know they get it going quite well, but you think after Sunday there might be that wee barrier there now? Lewis isn't really 100% sure now if Charles has got his back or vice versa.
I think Lewis would have had a word, as Lewis said. We'll talk about this offline. I think he would have definitely had a
I
word
like
with.
I like that when they said that. We'll talk about it offline.
I think he would have
Good
definitely had a
job.
word with Charles, saying, "Look, come on, fella, we're here to win the championship, both drivers and constructors. If you've not got the pace, just let me pass. Vice versa, if I'm not going to have the pace, I mean, Lewis has done it before. He's let Charles pass. Um, I think Charles seems to think I've been here the longest. I'm driver number one. When at the moment, I'm afraid Lewis has put more into this year's car. The feedback that
Mm.
he's given them and everything, he's gotten this car to where it is with the designers and everything. So you've got to hand it to Lewis. He's gonna help bring this team back to a championship winning way if Charles lets them.
If Charles, aye, well, hopefully he does. But I've noticed the time, buddy. Just quick before we wind up. But so to me, the front of the grid is going to be a fight between Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren are starting to maybe edge back, so they could get, Red Bull. I don't know. I
I
don't
think
know.
they're starting to concentrate on next year's car now. I don't think we're going to see many upgrades from Red Bull.
I don't see them making much headway. So I think he's going to, at the end of the day, depending on how many races are left, obviously, because we still don't know, it's going to be between Mercedes, McLaren, and Ferrari. What about, just quickly, what about the midfield? You know, um,
I think Aston Martin might be ones to keep an eye on now. Obviously, with Alonso scoring points this weekend,
he's,
Williams have
he's
just
quite a positive finish.
I don't know what's going on with Williams. I mean, we saw another DNF from Albon there because I think Carlos Sainz was just flexing his new 30 million a year contract and just ramming Albon out at the weekends. Um, Audi are doing okay. I mean, Hulkenberg didn't he get a P8? I think at the weekend.
He was back. He was definitely in the top 10. He definitely get points for him.
So they're looking strong. Racing Bulls are quite are relatively good. I mean, Sonoda unluckily just finished outside the points at the weekend. I would have liked to
He
have seen
put in a
Sonoda.
good performance, but
He did, considering it's the first time in one of these cars. I was hoping he would have got a P10 and scored a point before Lance Stroll did.
it's one guy. I don't know about you, but I know there's many facts. I just don't like him. I'm sorry if that sounds bad, but his daddy's money. That's the only reason he's still there. I think we said this in the last show as well. That's the only reason he's still there because daddy owns the team.
Yeah,
Daddy signs the checks, and it just strikes me as one of these. We were saying earlier on George Russell being arrogant. It just strikes me as one of these, arrogant rich boys. My daddy's rich, and I know it. And look at my shiny white teeth, and I
yeah.
can't drive, but that's why I'm still in the job. I just can't go with the guy at all. So I'm sorry. you know, Cadillac. I mean, I don't know. They're really not going anywhere just now.
No,
You know,
I don't see Cadillac scoring a single point this year. They've just got rid of Graham Loudon, haven't they? Yeah, they've now got
yeah.
Marchin. I can't pronounce his surname, but he's now in the position. I think he's got a lot more experience than Loudon has. So going into next year, we might see them scoring some points next year. Maybe start challenging towards the end of these regulations for some mid points in the maybe P5s and things like that. They I think will start coming into their own when we start getting the V8 era back. When we start seeing a
I
Cadillac V8.
I mean, they're a new team. They're still finding their feet. Basically, you know yourself. It can take a few years for a team to come and start. Except for Braun, Braun's a whole different kettle of fish. Basically, first year in, slaughtered everybody, took both titles and away they went.
Yeah, we're
Um,
out of here.
I came here, I did what I had to do, and that's me. I'm done. Um, but no, I'd like to see, I would like to see Audi coming up, and I'd like to see Aston Martin coming up because I do like Alonso, and the guy does work hard, so I'd like to see him maybe get some more points in the bag. Um, See Williams, yourself years ago, Williams were one of the foremost teams in Formula One. But they're just don't seem to be anywhere in the last, I don't know, 4 years. They're
I
just
don't think they're going to be anywhere next year either. I think James Vowles has overpromised and underdelivered. It's almost as like they've had all their calculations in for this year's cars over the last 3 years, and they've made a mathematical error somewhere along the lines that nobody's managed to pick up on, and they've just kept running with the same figures and the same numbers. And then they've gotten to this car and they're like, "Hang on a minute, we've made such a mistake somewhere," and they still haven't been able to get back and work out what they've done wrong. They were over the rumors during preseason testing. They failed the crash test. He came out and denied it. It then turned out they failed the crash test. That they were 30 kilos overweight. He denied it, saying we're only a couple. Then it came out that they were 28 kilos overweight. So it's a lot of things that the rumors got out there, or the information slipped out there somehow. He utmost denied it. More just to save face, because he's, like I say, he's been over promising for the last 3 years. Don't worry, we're working on these new regulations. That's when we're going to be a team to be reckoned with. And they're not. They're back runners. And it's quite sad to say, especially having a couple of drivers like Sainz, and Sainz is in it for the money now. He's not in it for a championship. He's resorted to, well, I'm going to get paid 30 million quid a year to drive at the back of the grid.
It's sad because Williams have got such a great legacy. You're back to Frank Williams, God rest him. That when he was there was such a great team, and they were winning Grand Prix, and they were coming up, making their way up the leaderboard, and they were a team to be, a team to be reckoned with. And then obviously, sadly, Frank passed away. Claire took over.
Yeah, and that's where I think things started going wrong. Frank also said as well that one of his interviews before he passed away, said his biggest regret was never giving Adrian Newey shares within Williams, letting Adrian Newey get away.
Well, I saw him on Sunday. They showed a quick shot of him on the pit wall, and he just did not look happy.
He looked tired. He looked very, very tired.
Very drained, didn't he?
Yeah. He should be on his yacht somewhere, enjoying his retirement at his age now, not stressing out about A, babysitting Lance, and B, trying to get a car up there that's I mean, there's a lot of things have gone wrong with Aston Martin this season, which I think were overlooked. I think Adrian Newey overlooked a lot of things. He knew exactly what was going on with the staffing problems at Honda because he'd been with Red Bull for all these years. So he knew that the staff weren't there. He knew that Red Bull had poached them all. So just to come in and say, "Oh, I didn't realize anything was wrong with the engine until November." I think whether he was under an NDA at the time where he couldn't say anything to Lawrence. But I think Adrian knew more than he let on.
I think he maybe should after this season maybe think about. Yeah, I mean the guy is good. The guy's a genius, obviously with Red Bull in the Red Bull days. But I think maybe he should retire to his yacht. But just before we wind up, just a wee thing about Lego. Have you bought the helmets?
I've done the Lando Norris helmet and the my wife built the Lewis Hamilton helmet over the summer break.
Are they really as hard to build? Because I've just been hearing bad reviews about them.
I didn't have a single problem with it. I didn't have a single problem with it. People were saying they're fragile. I was on the live stream the other day and I was sitting here chucking it from one hand to the other and it was staying in one piece. I was like, I don't know. I thought these behind me were harder. These behind me were a lot harder than the helmets.
I've got the Ferrari one doing the bottom of the Holland Tapper unit. I think that took me 4 days or something.
Yeah.
not constantly, I don't get me wrong, I love building it, and it does look amazing because it's a Ferrari, but they are really, really. I've got the Home Alone house as well,
Yeah,
in one.
I've built that twice.
You built it twice. We
I
lived
built
in
it.
it
I
once.
built it once when I lived in Manchester. Then I got the manual and went through it in reverse and took each piece apart and put it back into the right bags. And then I built it again last year and then took it apart again and put it back into the bags. It's so that when my daughter turns 10 at Christmas, we're going to give her the Home Alone house Lego set that she can build, but we're going to sit down and watch the film with her as well.
Right, I see how Catherine O'Hara, she passed away a few months back. That was quite sad
She
as
did,
well.
yeah.
I know that my wife told me for Christmas last year. It's retiring, but they're getting rid at the end of this year, as far as I know.
I thought they would have gotten rid of it a lot longer ago because I said I've had it about 2 or 3 years now.
That's what's going about in TikTok. But you know what TikTok's like. It's meant to be retiring, but no. I see the helmets. I've still not bought them because I've watched quite a few videos and people saying, "Oh, they're a nightmare to build. You put one bit on, another bit falls off, and you put more bits on, another bit falls off, and then it falls apart." I think.
I've had no bits falling off of mine, and my wife went through hers quite well as well, and said she found it quite. It is a little bit overcomplicated on the inside in how it's built up, but I didn't find any issues of it. I didn't ever feel the need to pick it up and throw it across the room like I've seen some people's videos.
I've seen them. I don't think I've ever been tempted to. I've had a few builds where there's just one bit that just will not click in, and you sit there and you're like, come on, and then you realise that you put another bit in wrong.
Yeah.
And so they don't kind of fit together. But I might put them on my Christmas list now.
But Senna's comes out in 5 days, 6 days.
I saw that as well. That's coming out very, very soon. But I'll get the two Ferrari ones first, though. Off of Santa.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
There's also a Gremlins set coming out in September as well. Gizmo and one of the Gremlins as a little duo set.
I was in Smith's last week with my daughter, and obviously the first place I go is down the Lego aisle. You've got to, haven't you? It's a must. And just as soon as you walk in the door, it just kind of calls to you. Come and have a look at me. And here we go. There's the way saying we have no space for Lego. We actually don't. We got to buy. We got a wee Jack Russell last year, October, and before we got more of Lego, we love him a bit. Don't get me wrong, but our Lego was on display. But he was just a pup, and he decided, I'm going to have a wee chew at that one, and I'm going to.
Oh. Well, the helmets get brackets, so I'm going to get where is it? Lando's helmet's going to go in between here, and then Hamilton's helmet's going to go in between there, between the Mercedes and the Ferrari. I've got the icon sets to go up still, so I've got a Senna one to go here. I think Williams might go above here. I want to get the other McLaren MCL 39 to go up here, and then I've got Schumacher's Ferrari to go up, which I might get that going across lengthways here. But it's still more Lego. I've got this one that I want to get up somewhere as well.
Oh, that's Back to the Future.
Yeah, the little DeLorean. But you can build this in 2 ways. So you can build it this way or with the wheels up from Back to the Future 2. So I need to get the set again just so I can build it the other way and have both of them.
Right, I've got. We get. I keep thinking we get Paddy. That's a dog. We get Paddy in October, but didn't we? It was November. I know we get married in October, but I was there. But so he started taking away liking to all the Lego, and so we stuck. We've got 2 bathrooms, and so we put all the Lego in one bathroom at the road. And then we thought, we didn't spend hundreds of pounds on it for it to sit in a bathroom floor. So we
Yeah.
got cabinets. Sarah found cabinets online, so it's all in the cabinets. But we actually don't have any room. But I've got I keep wee cars underneath my desk.
Oh,
There's one
nice.
of us, and I've got a wee Ferrari here as well.
Oh, the
And
F40.
of
There's
course,
one of them, just a real one of them's just gone up for sale in London. I'm tempted to tell my mate to go and have a look at it. Only 16,000 miles on the clock.
but how? What's the price tag on it?
They didn't put the price tag on.
All right.
He's just gone and
That's all
bought.
right.
He's just gone and bought himself an RS Turbo Mark 3 or 4 and an Astra GTE Mark 2, the old like wedge shaped one, the old red top, but
Oh,
they're mint.
I remember them. That's a G.
It's
One of my
absolutely
mates has one of
mint.
them. That's a G. That takes me. That takes me back. Oh, the wife's got another 2 or 3. It's the wife's birthday next month, so she's got another 2 or 3 sets coming. But I've got that one as well. But the back end is missing. That's one that fell victim to the dog.
Oh.
But I managed to catch him before he devoured all it. But he must have swallowed the bits here because I could not find them anywhere. So we can move all the Lego. But no, I might put the helmets on my Christmas list now. But I think we'll wind it up there, buddy.
Brilliant.
That's an hour and a half we've been on. But I'll keep a hoddy for a wee second after we come off. That's all right. So where can folk find you? Plug your channel.
So I'm over at TikTok. It's f1dave.main at f1dave.main. We're there every race weekend. On the Thursday before a race weekend, we do an F1 bingo at 8 o'clock in the evenings, followed by full telemetry streams on the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday for all practice sessions, qualifying, and the main race, followed by finishing up the bingo on the Sunday night as well, going checking off the checklist. And most days we're live on the channel as well, depending on my daughter's nap routine.
He's always on days. So give him a look up, folks, because he is well, if you're into Formula 1. Or even if you're not into Formula 1, it might convert you.
Yeah.
It's
if you're a newbie to it, don't be scared. We don't bite at this channel. We're not going to hold it against you if you watch Drive to Survive. It's just a little bit of a joke. Just if you've gotten into it through Drive to Survive, welcome to the channel. Welcome to F1. The sport is always growing. A lot of people don't see it as it's going the right direction, but the fan base is definitely growing.
Oh, it's definitely growing. You can see how you've got 25k followers so far. Every Grand Prix sold out, and it's always record amounts of the crowd. Start again. The total of the crowd always beats the previous year. That's what I'm going to say. He always comes up and tells you. But I say so. I'll keep a hold of you just after we come off for a wee second. So that's it for tonight, folks. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure, young man. Oh, quick before we go, do you have a prediction for the next one? Without a DNF, no DNF, just a winner.
I think Ferrari have got to have a 1-2, haven't they? Ferrari need a 1-2 at home.
Aye, definitely. I think they're going to need to pull all the stops and just put everything on that car that they can, or take bits off, whatever. Throw everything.
Lewis, Charles, Lando. P1, P2, P3.
So we'll see if you're right or not. We'll see if you're right. Obviously, it's got to be a Ferrari 1-2. If they get it right, that is, that's the big question. If the men behind the screens and that get it right, but you know yourself, it's anybody can win, but we just need to wait and see. But so give this guy a follow, folks. I'm back on Thursday with the Queen of Darkness, Michelle Collins. We'll be having another wee catch up. So between now and then, enjoy the rest of your week, and talk to you very, very soon. All right, so cheers it out. Bye.
See you, everyone.
Bye.